Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we'll get some more people probably signing in. I talked to a couple earlier that said they were going to be a little late. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm coming to you on behalf of Shilpa Pandey, who's the chair of our Membership Development Committee, and myself, I'm a member of the committee. And we'd like everybody to please put their name and contact information in the chat so that we can copy that and we can be in touch with each other. So if you do that while folks are coming in, and we are going to show a video that I know you all love, and I know Joan in particular will love. So yeah, Ellen, go for it.
Put your hat on, honey. You're gonna ask
Bread
Mimi
and
to come
Roses by
and
Joan
sing Bread and
Baez.
Roses with me. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, a thousand mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our life shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient call for bread. Small art and love and beauty their drudging spirits knew. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idler tend that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses.
Thank you, Ellen. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. This is the launch of our 2022, our work to grow WILF. And we want to do that one member at a time. I think that's the only way we can do it, one member at a time. So let's do it that way. Our topic today is women in economics. And it's really something that WILF women have been engaged in all the way from in the past and right up to today. And we're going to get to that after check-in. We want to use this initiative to amplify our peace and security message, something we're good at, as our record as the oldest international peace organization in the world clearly shows. And that message is so timely today. And I think it fits with our membership development work too, because we're inviting more women and more men to stand with us for peace in Ukraine. And I know we've seen the banner, the internationals put it out there, we've put it out there. We say no more wars, not now, not ever again. So I just want to encourage everybody, make sure you're reading our posts and our tweets and adding some of your own and on that important issue. And attend the vigils in your community, send messages to government officials, whatever avenue that's open up for you, push that open if it's not already open, because that's our message. No more wars, not now, not ever again. I want to have a check-in and want to remind people, if you need anything, let me know. If you need a packet of information, we'll send you a packet, love to send you a packet. We'll put Peace and Freedoms in it, Generations of Courage, infographic cards, membership brochures, things that you'll have on hand to be able to sign people up. So just put a quick note in there and we'll get them to your home as soon as we can. We also want to acknowledge that we have some rewards for people. If you sign up someone new or a lapsed member, and a lapsed member is just anybody who hasn't paid dues since 2019. And we do give awards for those. We've got sashes, books, we've got t-shirts, sweatshirts for 5 or 10 members. And we're adding now something new. I found a big stash of these beautiful mother of pearl pins that were handmade in Bethlehem, and they have a beautiful dove on them. So we're going to add that at about the 7th member level. We count what you did last year too. So keep signing up and you'll keep getting awards. And if we owe anybody some awards, please put that in the chat too, and we'll get that out to you. And sorry if we overlooked you. So for your check-in, of course, we want to know your name. Of course, we want to know your branch. But we also want you to share this thought. How would your membership change? How would your branch change? And how would your work in your branch change if you had more members in your branch? And that could be anything. It could be you've got a position you need to fill. So you need someone who maybe wants to be a treasurer or wants to take minutes or whatever it might be on your membership team. Maybe you want, maybe you're short of people when you have a vigil and you'd like to have more members to stand with you in vigils. It could be you've got actions that you want to have more people at. You want to speak at city council meetings on a local ordinance, whatever it is. But how would your branch change if you had more members? So I'll give you a minute to think about that before I call on you, and then I'm just going to call on you as the screen shows here. And I'll start with myself just to make it a little easier and give you a little bit more time to think. I'm Jan Quarterman. I'm a member of the Des Moines branch and part of our 5-member leadership team. And one of the initiatives we're doing, we're really down on CAFOs, confined animal feeding operations. We think they're bad for the environment, bad for our family farmers, bad every way you look at them. So we're going to be out at 4 farmers markets during the whole farmers market season with a table to talk about why we want a CAFO moratorium. And we could sure use some extra help if one of us can't make it that day or whatever, because there's 4, they all meet every week and we want to hit every one of them. So I'm going to start calling on you. Judy, can I call you next, please?
Sure. We're a small branch of active members, but a lot of lifetime members and quite a number of lapsed members. So we're trying to involve them at least in postcarding. Some of the older members really don't use Twitter, email, computers, but they do write excellent letters. We also do vigils, and usually because our small membership is spread out a little bit, those are not very well attended, but they're energetically attended. And I always put out, I go every Friday, and we usually have 4 or 5 of us. And we have 2-sided signs that you can face any direction, any 2 directions of traffic, and they stand for 2 people. And I'm always looking for people to carry those signs, which we post around our corner. We've lost a couple of members of our housing committee, which was really the strongest committee, because we were able to go to city council meetings and try to get California, which is my home branch, Peninsula Palo Alto, California, because it's a rich community and people don't want to diversify their neighborhoods with multiple residences, apartment houses and so forth. So we really need that for a presence to people's needs. And last, we need people to go out in the community, members, to get more members. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, Judy. So more members could help in a lot of that activity, couldn't they? So let me go to Diane next. Diane Blake.
Hi, I'm Diane Blay, and I'm in the Jane Addams branch. I'm the convener. And Jan, I am so sorry. You know, I looked up, is it CAFOS? And I don't know what it is. I know it's a huge farming, but the term, the
Yeah.
acronym.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because I should say factory farms. But, and that's really what we're talking about, but confined animal feeding operations is what the acronym is. But I do need to say factory farms, because we support family farms. The industrial family factory farms are the ones we're trying to shut down. So thank you for bringing that up. And how about you? What would you do with more members?
Well, I wish that there were more here tonight, because this is the night we're supposed to have the Jane Addams branch meeting. And I had put out 2 emails saying, we're not having that tonight, so come to this instead. And so I just more activity, and we could do lots of things with people all over the United States. But so it would be great if we had more active members.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's see who we've got here. Eileen, would you go next, please?
Yeah, I'm from the Boston branch, and we have one position that's usually filled, and that's a treasurer. We have one woman who's doing some letter writing gatherings, and that's actually coming along pretty well. We've been doing that for 5 weeks now, and at least 5 people, not always the same, show up. And then there's me, who's trying to hold everything together, and with everything else, whether it's notes or sending out notices, although Virginia tries to send out notices too, because mine I don't always get them. That's why we need to fill all the other positions. Having said that, though, I was so pleased. We had 150 people gather in Boston Park Street, so it's downtown, regarding the Ukraine crisis, and 7 WILFers showed up. We had signs, and so when it's meaningful, people come out of the cracks, and I was so pleased.
Okay, good. All right, Louise, you're next on my list. Would you tell us how more members could help in your branch?
Hello, I'm Louise Lisi from Philadelphia, and we have an active group. It's not super big, but everybody's very active. And I certainly would like to see I would like to see all of WILF diversify in terms of age. That I worry about the whole group dying out. I think we have some branches with younger groups, but we would just have more people to do projects if we have more people. And we manage a fair number of projects, but we need more.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Sounds like a message that we're all kind of going through. Thanks, Louise. Mary Hanson Harrison.
Oh, you can hear me. I'm
Yeah, there
from
you go.
Des Moines, and I'm part of the leadership team here. And I think we have to. This is one really good thing that I found. I'm on the International Nomination Committee for Congress for the new board. And one of the things I found with the Zoom meetings is really we get to know each other really well. And at Congress, we did really well. So and you could get younger people on there as well. And, the Congress was all older people, volunteers, with a few younger people. So don't discount the older people knowing how to use technology. I think that's a mistake. But you can create a community if we reach out more to our own members. I think we have quite a few members in Des Moines. And I just think, a concerted effort to have calls, see what they're interested in, what they're doing, and do kind of what we did at Congress, was to ask ask individuals what they'd like to hear. And so I think once you can do a survey, a Google survey pretty well with that, and just give people more chance to hear their voice, because people like to talk. And give a WILPF woman a microphone and you got an hour and a half. So anyway, that's what I just think that camaraderie will radiate out, and that's the building inside, and the outside will take care of itself.
Thanks, Mary. Ellen, I know you're doing a good job. You're doing your hosting tonight. Would you like to speak to this issue, or we'd love to hear from you if you would.
Well, I'm an at-large member. I was, when I first joined WILPF, I was in the DC branch. And after I left the DC, it wasn't my fault that it disintegrated, but it did disintegrate after I left. And I'm sorry about that. I'm really glad Diane picked up on trying to get things going in that area. But Diane is working marvelously well on trying to reach out to people in the Jane Addams branch, which I'm also part of, but not an active part other than hosting Zoom calls. And I really am not a good person at recruiting. I when I talk to individuals and I praise WILPF and invite people to join, which I do regularly, usually they join. So it's a matter, I think, of, but they're not necessarily they're not joining the Jane Addams branch. And I'm a little concerned about the Jane Addams branch. What can we do in order to get people to know that this is an opportunity to get to know each other?
Yeah, well, it sounds like if you ask people and they join, we need to get you out more. We'll have you come to Iowa, and then we'll have you go to all these other places.
Right.
But thank you, and I agree that Diane's doing a great job with the Jane Addams branch. And I think if you just keep it up, that's one thing you can do. Of course, it's always, people always like to get a phone call, so try, if you got 5 minutes, make a phone call. Any of the other things that we've tried, I'm sure will work. I'm going to let Joan and Ricky and Emily off the hook, because they're going to be our speakers tonight. And Shilpa is here, and I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier, Shilpa. But if you want to say hi and check in, and then I know you're going to introduce our first speaker.
Hi, everybody. Excuse my. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Everybody can hear me?
Yeah.
I have some issue with my throat right now. I'm going to speak very softly. Well, first of all, welcome everybody. I'm so glad that we are restarting our One by One Grow initiative again. And I would like to one second. I'm going to introduce Joan Goddard. Am I right on the agenda, Jen?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I would like to welcome everybody. And then I would especially like to introduce Joan Goddard, who I'm so honored to introduce from the Palo Alto branch. Joan is so active on so many of our committees. Our organization is so lucky that we have somebody like her with us. So many of you, I don't know if you know about her work to win comparable pay for comparable work when she was on her union's negotiating committee, representing her co-workers. So it's really an awesome work that a lot of us need to know about. I know we look forward to hearing about that. But before I turn over to her, let's give her a shout out to help celebrate her 60th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Today, a date that she and her family celebrated recently. So without much ado, over to Joan. Welcome, Joan.
Thank you, Shilpa. I didn't read the script until just shortly as far as the introductions. So I do want to correct that I would love to be in the Palo Alto branch, but I also love being in the San Jose, California branch, which is, it's only about 20 miles difference, but for some reason long ago, they set up 2 branches within a very short distance. So we all appreciate each other.
Thanks for the correction.
San Jose branch.
That's wonderful. That's even better. Now we have 2 branches so close to each other. That means
Right. And then
we must
there's
be doing
San
something awesome.
Francisco and East Bay and Santa Cruz, 20
Yeah.
miles over the hill, and all that kind of thing. Anyway, so now that we've gotten that definition out of the way, I wanted to get into another definition, which is the, what is this with pay, equal pay and comparable worth and comparable work, and what's all this? Equal pay, as in what most people paid attention to yesterday on Equal Pay Day, as Jan mentioned, is equal pay for the same work, often sitting next to each other, men compared with women. And you all probably understand how that develops from how much did you make on your previous job, which some states are getting rid of that question now, so that women don't get hung up on lower pay because of having had lower pay in their previous job. So that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about comparable worth, which is equal pay for work that has the same complexity, basically. And we, in San Jose, we had a study done. Our union got a study done with, some considerable effort in 1980. You think my anniversary was a long time ago. How about that? Being what we're talking about in San Jose happened a long time ago. But it is true that there were some places like a school district, I think Carlsbad, New Mexico, and also especially Minnesota, who did studies like this in the past, where personnel staff know how to compare work. They break it down, in considerable detail and compare what one group of workers or even individuals sometimes compare with others. And so they're looking at what the work actually is, not how much schooling do you have to have, because that's, not necessarily a have to have, it's how much you have, etc. So that kind of work was done in several places, and Minnesota did the best job of making sure that it's reviewed every 2 years and adjustments, and they're mostly state government jobs. So I believe that Des Moines also did a study, and maybe from the discussion, if other people remember that things like that happened in your town, you can share that too. What we did was we were in the midst of contract negotiations for our salary, for our general contract, and we came up against a situation where I will show you the graph now. If I can get the computer camera close enough so you get some idea of what it's like. And I don't have myself pinned. So we got job content at the bottom. We've got biweekly salaries over here, which you may or may not be able to see. We've got 3 lines here. And the dotted line in the middle that you might be able to see is the average salary for particular groups of jobs. And the farther they are to the right, the more complex the job is. And the part down here is where most of the women's work is. And the part up here in the higher salaries is mostly where the men's work is. So we had this good graph, and it helped us a lot in the, getting the idea across and helping people to learn. And we were successful in getting more than the city had been willing to give us before the strike. But then we got some more, and a couple of years later, never got to be absolutely equal pay with the men's work jobs. And therefore, with percentage salary increases, now the gap is widening out again, but everybody has to worry about healthcare, so they don't have time to work on comparable worth pay right now. But we're hoping to get some single payer healthcare so that we can get back to salaries. So then after we had the strike, maybe 10 or more years later, we started in with, can you all see this? Comparable worth. See these kids? Can you see what they're doing? They're looking inside their diaper pants. And it says, oh, that explains the difference in our salaries. It's kind of an amusing thing. So that helps to get people's attention. And then the other thing that we did in this area, we used the AAUW booklets on simple truth about the gender pay gap. And we used a folder that we put together, which says on it, where's my 20 cents? This is from 2017. And it has a lot of alarming facts and graphs in it and so on. So this is just an idea of what we did to give to teachers along with a sample lesson plan and what we call 3/4 cookie bags. You probably can't see that, but each of these cookies has a wedge cut out of it to represent a quarter or so or more or less actually, of the cookies. And they say things like, where's the rest of the cookie? And this gives you an idea of the wage gap. Where's the rest of the cookie? So we did hundreds of those cookie bags, and we took them to high school teachers who had signed up to use our sample lesson plan and the brochure, the folders with the alarming facts, and the cookie bags to get the kids' attention and to give them something to tell their families about and their friends later in the day after their lesson. So that was quite something. We did that for about 15 years, and WILPF members participated in doing the cookie bag project along with other interested volunteers. So we thought we were stopping the cookies part of that project temporarily, but now we've decided that people are more aware of the wage gap. So we don't really need the cookies and the time and energy and money that it takes to do those hundreds and hundreds of cookie bags all around the county. Not every school, but a lot of high schools in this county. So the Office of Women's Policy still has the sample lesson plan available and does update the listing every year for Equal Pay Day, and has other projects that help to educate other people. I think that's about all that I had to share. I'd be glad to answer questions if anybody has any, but I think we want to go on to the next speaker. Yay, Ricky.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joan. That was just a wonderful information. Joan mentioned Equal Pay Day, and that did happen yesterday. So this program is just really right on target. And you know what that means? Yesterday was March 15th, a full 2.5 months into the year. But that symbolizes how much longer, how far into 22 women work to earn the same amount men earned in 2021. So 2.5 more months to make as much money as men made in just 12 months. And that gap is even worse for women of color. Go ahead, Joan.
No, that's thank you. I'm glad you mentioned the fact that for different groups of women of color, it takes even longer to, quote, catch up, which of course you never do catch up. But I mean, August for African-American women, Native American women in September, Latinas in late October, November. So it's a condition that happens with women, but it happens even more with women of color. And it's something that do work on educating people about it, but we need to be able to get back to to doing something about it, which people do work on, of course, but we still have these seemingly ever expanding and lengthening periods of time that it takes to quote, catch up.
Very good. Well, thanks again, Joan. And there will be time for questions of all three of our panelists when they've all had a chance to speak. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, and that's Ricky Gard Diamond. Ricky, thank you so much for being with us here today. Ricky wrote Screwnomics to explain the unspoken assumptions of 300 years of equal mansplaining. And I love that term, econo-mansplaining, get it right here. And told through stories and cartoons and easy to understand economic definitions that actually apply to women's lives. And now she's a Ms. Magazine columnist and co-chair of WILPF's Women, Money, and Democracy Committee. And she continues to make economics a friendlier subject for women activists. So Ricky, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say, Joan, what a great idea it is to have these lesson plans available for teachers. That's marvelous. So you said, where did you say those were available? I'm going to ask a question ahead of time. I'm sorry.
The office, the Santa Clara County Office of Women's Policy, but I think I'll be able to send that link to you, but also to other people who are on the call, because I'm
great. Maybe you could put it in the chat. That's wonderful. Well, I thought, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I want to share my screen with you so I can share a few pictures. I want to share the sound also. There we go. Okay. Oh no, it wants me to. Oh dear, it didn't do this earlier when we tested this.
I think it looked like that earlier. Click on one of them. Let's see what happens.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yes?
we can still hear you.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So now I am going to make this full screen. There we go.
There you go.
So I wanted to share this image with you because it was the first design that She Writes Press did for the book cover. And I was horrified when I saw it because this is not what I found the women that I researched and included in my book were talking about at all. This is a system that works out. It's individual.
Real and lasting change.
I'm sorry. Did you hear that?
Yes, someone needs to mute.
I muted her.
So you can see there is the economic theory that I had to find a name for, because even though I was doing a lot of research in economics, no one was talking about, had given a name to this very common phenomenon that I saw all around me, that women, the idea that women should always work for less or even better for free. It was just a given. So I named it Screwnomics. My mother wouldn't have liked it, but there it is. And I do include cartoons. I think this one kind of explains how this present system works. Wall Street's going to kill this year. This fellow in the middle here is, his name is Blaise Bernays, and he's one of the characters in the cartoons that illustrate Screwnomics, along with poor Jess over here. She's a single mom who's, you know, just getting by on tip wages, which are really astonishing when you research that. And we've got another character, Kashanda, and the woman who married Blaise Bernays, who thinks she's got it made. So there's kind of a little drama going on, in the same way that there are dramas, economic dramas going on in all of our lives all the time when you stop to think about it, but we're not really encouraged to do that, are we? So this is the cover that Pico Todd, who is the illustrator for the cartoons and a wonderful friend, came up with. We saw that women were operating in a very different way. And you can see from these old-fashioned paper dolls that they're connected, they're not alone, grabbing their fistful of dollars. And I insisted that they be displayed on this cover with this kind of what I hope looks like dancing, because I wanted to remember what Emma Goldman had to say. I don't want to be part of your revolution if I can't dance. The things that women were talking about in connection to economics had to do with waging life, not waging war in the way that our present economy does. So I wanted to introduce you to the Ms. column that resulted from the book. It's called Women Unscrewing Screwnomics. And this is the latest, no, actually, this isn't the latest one. The latest one is on digital, women's digital silence. This one is about Texas. I guess I'll read a little bit of it because you probably can't. For centuries under common law, a daughter or a wife was the property of the family father or husband, or upon his death, the closest relative with a penis. Whatever was theirs was his, but most importantly, the family patriarch oversaw her most valuable asset, her womb. In earliest medical thought, a womb was fertile ground in need of guarding and fences to make property rights clearer, and she to be plowed and planted with seed, quite literally semen. We thought such laws and cultural metaphors were behind us, but now the cowboys of Texas have put a bounty on women's wombs. The stakes are women's civil rights as citizens, but also financial ones. So that's the kind of thing I get to write about at Ms. Magazine. And I want to just point out the bio down below here. It includes, it says, my latest book, Screwnomics, is prompting econo-girlfriend conversations around the country, many sponsored by the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, US, and the educational nonprofit and economy of our own, which I'll talk about in a minute here.
Thank you.
So this is from the YouTube channel of An Economy of Our Own, which is a nonprofit that is an alliance that WILPF is has supported in so many ways. Mary Beth Gardam is on our board, along with women like Rianne Eisler, Ellen Brown with the Public Banking Institute, Jhumpa Bhattacharya out in Oakland, who's with the Insight Center for Community Economic Development, Carmen Rios, who's in Los Angeles, and what is she? She's excuse me, I don't want to offend anyone, but she calls herself a badass feminist, and I think that is the best way to describe her. And Jamila Medley, who is in Philadelphia and is very active in developing cooperative businesses for Black women in particular. And so what we do at An Economy of Our Own is based on Virginia Woolf's famous essay that said a woman who wanted to discover her voice and find her own thoughts needed two things. She needed an income and she needed a room of her own. And we are saying we believe women need an economy of our own. Not only do we need comparable worth and equal pay, we need to redesign a whole system that never had women in mind. Now, Jan, when you introduced Screwnomics, you talked about 300 years of economansplaining. Now, that is 300 years of what is called modern classical economics. Now, modern and classical don't usually go together, and it's kind of confusing, but that's typical of economic talk, okay? So get used to it. And in fact, that conversation, that male-to-male conversation that just sort of assumed that women and nature were free for the taking is about 2,400 years old, with the birth of the name for the Greek word oikonomia, which is the root of our word economics. So it's a deep-rooted system that we really need to begin to question. So we introduce economic subjects with an eye to solutions in what we call Zooms of our own. And these are 5 that we've already had. It's not, there are more than this, and there are some great films on the YouTube channel too. And you can see that our conversations are, we're dedicated to making these conversations diverse and making them not, making them fun, making them interesting and accessible, so that you're not just listening to experts, although these women are incredible experts, but also listening to their personal stories of where they found their path and the work that they're doing now and what they really care about, which I don't think is typical for a lot of economic, usually lectures, right? The other thing that we're doing, this is new, is learning circles. These are steps to deepen our knowledge with small group action. And we started out with public banking because we thought it was a solution that had a lot of applications that could help a good many issues. You know, banking is a hard subject, it's a boring subject, it's a confusing subject, but it's a lot more fun to learn about it with a group of women who are as interested in changing the system as you are. And so this is a little different. It's 6 sessions that meets, this time it's going to start on April 8th. And it'll go for 6 weeks. The dates are on our website. And it's co-sponsored, you can see it again here, by an economy of our own, working with the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, US section, and especially the Women, Money, and Democracy Issues Committee of WILPF, along with the Public Banking Institute and the California Public Banking Alliance. California has been quite successful in passing legislation recently, but we're in our series, we invited people to come from Massachusetts, from New York, New Jersey, where movements are already beginning to organize, and we got some great advice. Philadelphia just had a great success that the city councilman, Derek Green, came and talked with us. And one of the things that he shared with us that I think is important is that when you're talking about public banking, don't talk about banking, because why? It's boring and it's confusing and who cares? But talk about what your bank could finance. What is it that you're passionate about, that you want and need funding for? Is it education? Is it affordable housing? Is it environmental integrity? You know, is it, you know, women's small businesses? Right now, those are being pretty much ignored. So that's another thing that an economy of our own is doing with WILPF's help. I also just wanted to share that on March 28th, we're having another Zoom of our own, sharing ownership and talking with some incredible women about why cooperative business ownership, which is a different form of corporation, is appealing to women and people of color, and how they're really making a difference. I wish I had a picture of them. I should have taken a picture of them, but you can see it on our webpage, and I did include at the bottom there how you can check out the webpage and look at resources where and events and recordings where you'll see all of these things on display and see how to register for them if you're interested. and I hope you will be. That's the whole idea. So with that, I'll stop sharing. And I'll just say, let's have a revolution that we can dance to. All right.
Well,
Thank you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Go ahead, Shilpa.
Thank you so much, Ricky. It was actually so nice to hear this. And I think we especially need, it is so needed that a subject like economics, which is supposedly actually very boring, is made interesting with the help of not just cartoons, but also explanation in the way that you explain so that it makes sense to more of us. So with that, thank you once again, Ricky. We want to continue to learn more about the work that you're doing. And with that, I will introduce our next speaker, who is, I'm sorry, I hope everybody can still hear me. Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. And that is Emily Keel. She is a North Carolina native and joined a Moral Monday movement started by Reverend William Barber in its early days in 2013. It was in the county detention center after her first arrest for civil disobedience that she met Lucy Lewis, a second generation WILF member. She was invited to a meeting and realized that she had found her people and has been a member of WILF since. She is a steering committee member and now the liaison from WILF to the PPC. So off to Emily. So honored to have you here with us, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Am I coming across okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. And I'm going to talk revolution too, I think. So thanks to members who came before me, WILPF decided to be a partner in the Poor People's Campaign, recognizing that many parts of that agenda align with our own priorities in WILPF. This year, the branches chose to make the Moral March on DC on June 18th, one of the two events in which WILPF will act in solidarity with all our branches. I'm so proud that our organization recognizes the importance of action at this moment in our history and that we are joining the call. And Ellen, if you would put that map in the on the screen, just to update us on the crisis in income in America and the poor people's confrontation of that. Let me say that there are still 140 million poor and low-wage people in America. And there's a concentration in southern states, but not limited to the South. California and New York obviously have huge numbers as well. Let me speak the words of Dr. King, slightly abbreviated. The dispossessed of this nation, the poor, live in a cruelly unjust society. They must organize a revolution against the injustice, against the structures through which this society is refusing to take means which have been called for and which are at hand to lift the load of poverty. There are millions of poor people in this country who have very little or even nothing to lose. If they can be helped to take action together, they will do so with a freedom and a power that will be a new and unsettling force in our complacent national life. There's a wonderful song written for our current Poor People's Campaign that brings power to those words in today's fight. And I hope that we're going to hear that a little bit later. That was the basis for Dr. King's campaign and is so today for the current campaign. Rising inequality is associated with slower overall economic growth and more persistent poverty. The Economic Policy Institute has estimated that if we had not experienced rising inequality since the 70s, if the fruits of our productivity had continued to be shared more broadly as they were in previous decades, then the poverty rate would have dropped to zero by the year 2000. As we know, the productivity of work grew enormously since 1979, but the wages did not move similarly. The stunning of wage growth has resulted in slower overall economic growth and more persistent poverty. If we had heeded Dr. King's words in 1968, when Resurrection City was erected, we would be on a different path now, and the value of all work would be recognized. Some of the real consequences of the policy decisions that have enabled this vast income disparity are that families are hungry, Health is sacrificed, education is compromised, and safe, affordable housing is simply not available to many. The sum total of these impacts is devastating. Every year, approximately 250,000 people die from poverty and income inequality in our country. These policies that stonewall many Americans also have vast costs to our society. As a small example, the aggregate cost of child poverty, such as child homelessness, crime, health costs, lost economic productivity, is estimated at $1 trillion per year. If lifted out of poverty, these children could become great contributors to the workforce, like teachers, farmers, healthcare workers, innovators. Let's look at what we know about how COVID affected the wealthy. The billionaires in the US added over $2 trillion to their wealth. Corporate wealth added over $2.5 trillion, and the wealth of shareholders increased significantly. The stimulus payments, expanded unemployment insurance, child tax credits, and other aids were instrumental for middle and lower wealth people, but now they've ended and will backslide. Build Back Better has been lessened in scope and yet remains stalled. So we must challenge the idea that poverty is the fault of the poor. It's apparent, just looking at the COVID experience, that poverty is caused by structures and immoral policies, and therefore it will take moral policies and larger social transformation to lift the load of poverty. The campaign does not argue for charity or goodwill to the poor. It simply recognizes that the poor are not only victims of injustice, but agents of profound social change. This is why the Poor People's Campaign continues to organize and build power among the poor today. Our nation has abundant resources for an economic revival that we must move in order to establish a moral economy. We saw some of these abundant resources enacted temporarily during COVID, and we know it can be done. Where are the other areas that money can be better used? WILPF works towards reducing the military spending, which actually makes the world less secure. We could generate about $886 billion from fair taxes on the wealthy and corporations. We could have a windfall profits tax on their recent earnings. There are billions more in savings from ending mass incarceration, addressing climate changes, and there are other key campaign demands. We are aware that the challenge we face is not a question of resources or working harder, but of national priorities. As more and more of our wealth flows into the pockets of a small but powerful few, the scarcity we face is one of political will. I found an interesting article in the New York Times from June 25th, 1968, about resurrection cities closing. The article was titled, "City of the Poor Shuts Peacefully." Does that cause you the pain it does me? Poor people have had their say, now just go home. We know that 54 years later, it's a vast moral crisis, and we cannot and we will not take it anymore. June 18th is a day, but the movement will continue on to the polls after the election because we simply must. This immoral system will kill all of us if it continues. So I beg you to do what you can to join in the Poor People's Campaign, to go to DC or to support your state organization or to support with donations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. That was great. And I want to hear, before we go to questions, Lynn Sableman has joined us. So Lynn, we're so happy to have you here. She has done some work in her branch with Screwnomics. So I asked her to come and speak to us about that. Let me tell you a little bit about her branch. It's been around since 1923, and they're part of a community of experienced activists, and they promote conversation and topics related to WILPF's goals of peace, justice, and feminine democracy. So Lynn, please come on and introduce yourself and tell us what you did with Screwnomics.
Hi, I'm Lynn Sableman with the St. Louis branch. We had two separate sessions. The first one, I just beat the bushes for anybody that I'd worked with and so on. So we had a nice group of, say, 10. And we met, I don't know, I think it was twice a month or maybe less frequently. Anyway, we had about 5 or 6 sessions, went through the book. it was delightful to have an encounter with economics that was very positive and supportive. And Ricky's came to our meeting virtually, and we got to, she kind of spurred conversation about our own family background. What, did you have a grandmother who was just, supporting the family on her own, and, tough times like that. So, I think that it is a rich soil for community building. I know we have some lasting effects. We have one person in our board who's very interested in the donut economy now, and she's just seeking out articles and so on, and doing little blogs for our website. So that's kind of fun, because that was born of Ricky's influence in this in these sessions.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, Lynn, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let's open it up to
to questions.
Your turn. Great.
Yes, absolutely. So after we've heard all of our awesome panelists and our speakers, the floor is open for questions. Please use hand raise or just ask away, I would say. I see Eileen's hand. Eileen, go ahead.
Thank you. Emily, I support the PPC. There's no doubt, and I'm hoping to get down to DC. But I would like to get more information. What is the definition of poverty across the nation? I know we've got 2 million, according to your map, of poverty, people in poverty in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And that's devastating to me, but I have a feeling I know where they are. We're in Boston, Springfield, Worcester, and definitely a little farther north. The second question is, I wonder if you could share with me how to fix this, in the sense that a lot of the smaller, more menial jobs, the simple jobs, are in the process of being taken over by robots. Has there been any talk about how to deal with a lack of jobs because they are not available, and how to make jobs, cut hours, something? Thank you.
I think the guaranteed minimum income is a reality that has to happen, as there are fewer and fewer openings for people to have meaningful employment. So I think that's certainly being discussed in a lot of places and with the campaign. And your other question about the definition, and I'm looking that up while I'm talking to you. Of course, that 140 million and the numbers you saw on the map are low wage and poor people, and the poverty threshold seems to be 2 adults and 2 children, $27,479. And that's
Can you repeat that number?
I'm looking at the census.gov, and this says 2 adults, 2 children, in a household, $27,479 would be the poverty level. This says, I will look further at that too, and I'm sure that's quite dependent on the location, because of rent and housing varies enormously in different places. But I think that it's almost impossible on a minimum wage salary for like a 2-person family to rent a two bedroom apartment anywhere in the country. Is just impossible. There's no place that people can live affordably even renting something. So it's quite a significant problem. But the guaranteed minimum wage thing, I think, is certainly going to be a reality at some point, because you're absolutely right. There will not be jobs for everybody.
Judy? Yeah, yes, please go ahead.
I think we need to look into training programs. You know, a lot of American students who maybe went to junior colleges went to these corporate training systems, schools that really didn't have jobs for them. They took money from them. We need a controlled system where we can train people who are not looking for academic jobs, but for trades. Who's going to fix the sewers? Who's going to do the painting? Who's going to work on the railroad? Some are union jobs, some are not. And we need to fill that gap, that education gap, particularly for the young people who are, some of them are turning to drugs and illegal activities to make money when they don't see a chance for a future. Our junior college system in California needs strengthening. I've had some connection to that there, and there are these hopeful young people who don't see a path forward, and especially after the COVID situation, we're going to need more of those trade-oriented union jobs for the infrastructure that we want to build. Who will be building it is the question. So that's one thought.
Yes, that's a good comment, and excellent. Thank you for bringing that up, Judy.
Maybe all that money for infrastructure is not going to be missed. It's not going to be lost. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I think we're having a great question answer session. Anybody else? Would they like to say anything? Any comment? Any questions? Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, you know, when I was growing up, and maybe some of you old hippies, or just plain hippies, we did have jobs like that. I've taught at university, and I've taught it, and I prefer to teach at community college level. But what happened is that we don't value those people. Well, I remember when we first started out with COVID, you know, the essential workers. And just recently, a year or two ago, I was one of those essential workers working at an organic food market. You know, our managers were unhappy and depressed because they didn't value their work. You know, they had degrees, you know, political science degree, one of the managers had. And he says, look what I'm doing now. And I said, look what you're doing. You're raising your family and you're making a great store. I mean, how, you know, that's great. And I don't mean to be Pollyannish about this. I really do think we have raised children's expectations far too high, and not valued it. You know, and I saw it in teaching as well, that, you know, they want to go out and be the president of a company, you know, and you can't blame them because we don't value people who really make the world work. And that's kind of an esoteric question, maybe, but maybe not. Because I think every time we get to talk to students or talk to people, we can say how valuable you are, no matter what. You know, our wealth, we all can't be great, and we all can't be rich. But when I grew up, you know, the way to tell you were on your, you know, doing well is that you had clean clothes and you had things to eat.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Um, anybody else? Any more questions for our panelists? Anything, anybody else?
Louise has her hand up, Shilpa.
Oh, Louise, I didn't see that. Yes, go ahead, Louise.
There are several things. Let's want to say about the public banking learning the sessions. You know, Ricky, you said it'd be six weeks, which is what I thought when I signed up for the first one, but it's actually spread out. It's 6 sessions spread out over several months, which is really important because we did activities and tried to work on things between sessions. I tried to advertise it to my Philadelphia branch, but I don't think anybody jumped up and said they were going to go. And I'm going to comment on Philadelphia, the public banking. I'm trying to think of the exact wording. I had it in my mind because Pennsylvania state has not passed a law similar to California's law. California has passed a law that allows a full-fledged public bank, but there is no such legislation in Pennsylvania. So what was passed was actually legislation to put in a public banking authority, an economic authority in the city of Philadelphia. And in city council it was passed 15-1. So I mean, it was just overwhelming support. And it still has to be worked out how the bank will get capitalized. And that's sort of, it seems like the way the legislation was written, it goes to the executive branch, to the mayor to start figuring out, you know, getting the board selected. And there was a lot of work done on the board. I mean, it's just to be very representative of people involved in the community. And that was one thing about public banking. And then Emily, I want to know in the Poor People's Campaign for June 18th, we had in Philadelphia, our Philadelphia group had heard that it was going to be Washington, D.C. and capitals, that there would be demonstrations in the capitals, but one of our members went to the local Philadelphia Poor People's Campaign meeting, I think 2 days ago. No, it might have been 1 day ago, and said that there was not going to be anything in the state capital. Was that just something local and decided in Pennsylvania, or is it all the state capitals been dropped from having demonstrations?
I don't think I can answer that right at this time. I suppose there's probably some variation in states, but you know, a lot of people want to be online watching the national thing, and that somewhat competes with state rallies being successfully held, I think. So that may vary with states, but there has not been any announcement about what's going to take place over the nation at this point. So,
well, that's
sure.
what the local group said, was that they wanted the people that could not go to DC, they wanted them to have watch parties at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that may be what every state decides to do. I mean, that makes some sense.
Okay, we have another question. Joan Goddard has a question.
Not a question.
Oh, comment.
It's not a question. Louise, I think that what they may have been thinking about and what is happening, I think some places, Emily, and something in California, where people are so far away that it would be very expensive, but we are putting money together to send people on planes from California. But some places they may do activity that is maybe be able to include more people in person, as well as whatever we can do on Zoom on that day. But then there's also the question of, we want to be able to see what's happening in DC. So the scheduling may be different from the same time as in DC.
Mm-hmm. I think states may vary on what they try to do, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I'm really enjoying this session today. Okay, Eileen, you have something to say too. Eileen, your hand is up. And you're on mute.
Sorry, my next question is for Joan. Joan, I was so impressed with the creativity that your union and you and all did. And I was wondering, to finish that work, that you started on the inequality. Has any union come up with any other brilliant ideas to make the rest happen?
Well, I think I sort of threw it in there at the end or somewhere, but in the past 20 years, say, they did work on it in the 1990s, through the 1990s, they worked on it. But since then, I think the health insurance financial aspects have just been overwhelming, as well as perhaps other things and so on. So, and now the longer we go, the more dramatic will be the comparisons when they do get ready. Because of
I'm having a hard time with this. You say the health
increases in salaries mean that the higher salaries get, more money, and the lower ones don't get as much when we get a 4% salary increase or whatever. So it recreates the gap.
Yeah,
So
that's
the
an excellent point,
benefits
actually.
are getting in the way.
Oh, what's getting in the way? I don't know.
Oh, you said health insurance.
Oh, because it's so expensive, and they have to try to keep the employees from having to pay, all of the increase or something like that. They have to get the employer, in this case, the city of San Jose, in our case, and the county of Santa Clara did a project at the same time. So I'm sure they're experiencing the same kind of thing. You have to spend so much time and energy on particular things that people want to get into the contract, but also the money aspect, I think, has been greatly taken up with health insurance, which is one of the reasons that I and a lot of other people work on single payer health care. Thank you. Does that make sense?
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, okay, Judy.
Yes, I did want to comment on, I've been disappointed by contacts with California WILPF branches early on that I asked, what are you going to do? Are you going to Washington? Is there a group that's going to be covering the state capitol? And I think because of the distance, and it never occurred to me, which it should have, that people would want to watch the main action in Washington. So I think I have to take back some of my disappointment and maybe redirect my California sisters to follow the action in Washington and perhaps follow up the action later when the legislators come back from their summer breaks or whatever their vacations are and go back to them then. So that comment has encouraged me that we have more work to do and we can do it after the Washington. I'm not going to take away the Washington. We are also paying to try to get people to go, but I feel much better about it.
Yeah, I just want to say too that, after the DC thing, the voting, getting people to vote is going to be a tremendous push. And of course, WILPF is involved in getting people to the polls as well, the voting aspect. I think I heard one comment from a Michigan resident, an activist there, who said they could not have taken our water without taking our democracy first. So important to be able to vote.
Yes, absolutely. What other questions or comments do we have? Okay, I don't see any.
Joan putting her hand
Joan, yes, Joan. I see you, Joan.
And the waving one. Yeah, let's see. Sorry. The day after June 18th is Juneteenth, June 19th.
Yeah.
So there may be, in terms of people thinking, well, we could have something the next day, that may not be the best time to do it. And as Judy was saying, it may be more important to do something long range. Thanks.
Yes, Judy.
However, Juneteenth is a good way to contact within our minority community of Blacks. Although our Juneteenth in the Palo Alto, East Palo Alto area has been, if you're talking about democracy being taken away, Facebook in the last couple of years, we used to go to Juneteenth, which was in a part of a park in East Palo Alto, which is mainly, it's a separate city from Palo Alto. It's across the freeway. It has not very good housing, not very good education. It's mostly now Hispanic, Latinx, and Black. And Facebook had a corporate sponsorship a couple years ago, and we went to that, and the music was so loud. There were food trucks. There were very little community groups that were represented, and we had to walk around with our literature at the table because people were, it wasn't about the issues of the Black community and Hispanic community. It was about getting people to get involved with Facebook and sending kids to coding camp. Nothing wrong with that, but it lost its spirit as a community event and became a corporate event. And that was so disappointing. Just
Yes.
a comment.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. I think this is so great that we kicked off our one by one we grow with this discussion. In fact, I read in the chat, I think Mary was suggesting that we should actually take it as a roadshow, and I must say that's a brilliant idea. I mean, honestly, to link economics, and this is a great way to actually connect with the grassroots too, because those are issues that affect us all. And I don't know if there are any other comments or questions. If not, then Jan, off to you for our next thing.
Okay, and I see Ricky's got her hand up. So why don't you go ahead, Ricky, and then I'll come back to me. You're on mute.
Ah, how about that? Can
There you
hear me
go.
now? All right. I do want to mention the Issues Committee, the WILPF Issues Committee, Women, Money, and Democracy, that Eileen is a member of that Issues Committee too, and it does wonderful work on corporate history and on the difference that new currencies could make for the economy, and also the racial divide in our country and what we can do about that. We're actively reaching out to make our group a little more diverse, age-wise and also race-wise, and having some success in that. I think that's really important. So I put in the chat, Mary Beth Gardam is really the person to be in touch with. She's a firebrand. I'm not the co-director, and in fact, we're looking at a more democratic structure that isn't so hierarchical, and sharing responsibility. And I think it's really helping the group to be more engaged, to get to know one another better. And we had a great time in our last meeting, and always have music as part of our agenda.
And I want to ditto that. I've been learning a lot, and I have a pretty good background in economics, nothing to the caliber of Ricky, but boy, oh boy, I read a few of Ellen's books, Ellen Brown. But yeah, there's so much out there to learn, and new stuff coming down that the breakout groups bring in. It's boy, if you want, even one of the people of color who's in this group says, I don't have the time to do the reading, but I want to be part of this and learn, because she just learns by listening to the discussion, and it's rich.
Yeah.
So that's my plug.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks to you both. Well, I want to talk about a new way that we'd like to share that I think will help us get more members, help you individually be a great organizer and bring a bunch of new members into your branch. And we're calling it Take 5. So, yeah, and I think there's a song by that name or something like that. So we'll have to add that to it because I agree that money's important. So what we want you to do between now and the next meeting is think of 5 people that you know who you like their energy, they've got an expertise in something, or just plain they're a friend and you want them to be a closer friend. And where you think that they would benefit from being a WILPF member. And put those 5 names down on paper and create a list, put their names and contact information on it. And then think about how you're going to reach out to them. Are you going to call them? Are you going to email them? Are you going to see them at church and say, can I have a minute of your time? Or are you going to see them at parent-teacher conversations or at work during your break or whatever it is? Invite them for coffee at your house or a place convenient. And then use that material that we're going to mail to you. And don't forget, if you need more of that, please let me know in the chat so I can get it to you. And I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about this. I've got all your addresses now, so I'm going to send you an email with a little bit more, not much. It's going to be really nice and compact to really get you to thinking about 5 people. Take 5 people that you would like to see as a member of your branch, and you think they would benefit from it too. And then over the next 2 months, because Shilpa's going to talk about our schedule next, but approach them and then report back to us and see how it went. So again, I'm going to send you an email. Please watch for that. And I think Shilpa has something to say. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Shilpa.
Yes, thank you so much, Jen. And of course, thank you to all our panelists. Thank you to all our attendees. We are so excited that we are, not restarting, but continuing on this program this year. And, we don't really have a number ahead of us that, oh, we want to have that many people this year, but what we want to keep it as one by one we grow. And if we grow one by one, I think we will achieve way more rather than if we put in a hypothetical goal of 500 or 1,000. So one by one we grow, because we also want to make sure that the people that come along, we are touching their lives and they get encouraged and inspired by the work we do. So we are able to attract also those members who become more active in the work. I mean, of course, we encourage anybody to become a member, even if they are silent members. But really, we would love to have more people who are more active in our work. With that, I would like to announce that we will be having meeting bi-monthly on second Wednesday. And sorry that we missed it this Wednesday in March, but we plan to be back on schedule for May, July, September, and November. So please mark your calendars accordingly. We will, of course, Jan has been very prompt in sending those invites out, and we will continue to do that. And thank you. But I think we have one more thing before everybody signs off. So I would actually hand that to Jen, and then I think Ellen.
Yeah. Thanks again, Shilpa. And Lib, thank you for being here. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Do you want to unmute and say hi? Or I think you're on your phone. Maybe that's harder, but Lib Hutchby joined us.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Hi.
Yeah, I'm on the phone and very happy to participate. And thank you all for all your encouraging and inspiring work. It's just, it's wonderful to get to know you better. So my thing is World Water Day. And so I put that in the chat as a reminder to love your water and love yourselves and be grateful for the fact that we have access to sanitation and water. That's what I would like to say. I would really hope everybody in the whole wide world had access to clean drinking water. And since we know we don't have that, it is up to us to some degree to attempt to educate those who are ignorant of that fact. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the reminder about World Water Day too, Liv. Thanks for being here. So we've got another minute or two because Ellen is going to show this wonderful, wonderful video. So please stay on with us for a couple minutes here. And also you're going to have time to copy the chat. So again, I want to give Ellen a big thank you for being here. I gave her a couple hours notice and she was right here. Really, really appreciate it, Ellen. So this is a video that Emily shared with us. You're just going to love it. It's going to get you really engaged in the Poor People's Campaign. We are going to ask you to all put yourselves on mute because you are going to want to sing and dance along with this video. So put yourself on mute and
we are a new unsettling force. You say that?
We are a new unsettling force.
And we are powerful.
We are powerful.
We are a new unsettling force.
We are a new unsettling force.
And we are
here.
We are a new unsettling force.
We are a new unsettling force.
For liberation.
Liberation.
And we got nothing to lose.
And we got nothing to lose
but our chains.
We
are a new unsettling force, and we are powerful. A new unsettling force, and we're here. A new unsettling force for liberation, and we got nothing to lose but our chains. We are a new unsettling force, and we are powerful. A new unsettling force, and we're here. A new unsettling force for liberation, and we got nothing to lose but our chains. And we got nothing to lose but our chains. And we got nothing to lose but our chains. And we got nothing to lose but our chains. And we got nothing to lose but
thanks everybody. Let's sign off. Bye-bye.